All right, we got a couple minutes till we get started. I know they're sorting people into breakout groups now. Can everyone confirm that you can hear me?
Yes.
Great. And can everyone see just a slide on the screen? There's no other content?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Zoom is working as intended. It's such a rare occurrence, but we'd love to see it. Perfect. Okay, we'll take a couple more minutes and then we'll be good to go. Rahul, if we do this next year, we need to have some funky music like they do in the main room. I'm feeling its absence.
I agree. I completely agree with that. Kat, should we start?
I think so. I think there's a few stragglers, that's okay. We have a bit of an intro to wind up, so they'll be here soon enough. So, all right, welcome my VPPRs. I'm so happy to see you here. This is always my favorite part of TLI because this is where we get to talk about your role specifically. This is a VP Public Relations Breakout. I am Kat, my co-presenter today is Rahul, and today we are going to talk about many things in relations to the VPPR role that you, yes, you have taken on. We're so happy that you have decided to join the district and that you're going to be supporting your clubs in this role. So I hope you learn a bit today and let's get going. So first off, just a brief agenda of our meeting today. We're going to go over the purpose of PR. We're going to go over the role itself, obviously how to excel in it. And then we're going to go over a bunch of best club and district practices, including open houses, networking, a lot of social media information, stuff that's going to be great to have in your VPPR toolkit. But before we get into that, I would love to introduce my co-presenter today, Rahul. Rahul is currently the VPPR for Cranberry High Noon Club, and he actually lives in Mars, Pennsylvania, if you know where that is. So he was actually active in Toastmasters from 2005 to 2007 in Toronto, Canada. And I think you're a member of 2 clubs, right?
That's right, yes.
Busy, and you were president of the Speakers Club. So you have plenty of experience and he's here today. He's also worked across 4 countries in 3 continents. So very busy guy. And he is currently the senior director at Tundra Technical Solutions, which is one of North America's fastest growing staffing firms. Rahul, I am so happy to have you as my co-presenter today. You are experienced at VPPR and I know you will have a lot of advice for everyone.
Thank you, Toastmaster Kat. I'm going to introduce Kat. Kat is a technical writer and editor for Bechtel Plant Machinery, where she works on manuals for the nuclear navy. But in Toastmasters, she's the public relations manager for District 13. That's great. Congrats, Kat. As PRM, she's responsible for organizing and distributing district information on events, opportunities, and resources available to all Toastmasters members. She is a member of Toastmasters BPMI, which is a corporate club, where she has served as VP of PR and Sergeant at Arms. She will also be the club's upcoming president for the new year. Again, a lot of leadership here. So kudos to you, Kat. And Kat loves cooking, so much so that there is a high chance that she is running in between breaks in today's TLI to check on something baking in the oven. Please help me welcome Toastmaster Kat Licause.
Thank you. And I promise I won't run out during this meeting to check on. I actually just pulled it out of the oven, so we're good. But yes, thank you, Rahul. So we will move on right to our objectives for today, which are threefold. We're going to discuss best practices, as I said before, using effective PR strategy for membership growth and strategies for starting out our term. A lot of you, I'm imagining this is your first time in the VPPR role, so you want to know, where do you even begin? The best place to begin, in my opinion, is understanding what the purpose of PR even is. I like to think of PR as a three-pronged strategy. There's three things you have to do in order to really sell PR. First, you have to create a positive public opinion where none exists. You have to be a person that's confident going to a place where no one has any clue about what Toastmasters is. And you're going to be that first person that comes through and gives an impression that basically sells them on why they should join the club. Secondly, your job is to reinforce existing positive opinion. Say you have members in your club and they're just having a great time, they love it there. You are responsible for maintaining that enthusiasm. You have to distribute information to them about new opportunities, ways they can grow, conferences, breakouts, all these different things. You are responsible for maintaining that existing positive opinion. And lastly, I think this is the assumption a lot of people will have with PR. PR is also responsible for changing negative opinions into positive ones. Let's face it, a lot of people are very, very scared of public speaking. They think it's terrifying or they have a negative connotation to it. And it's our job as VPPRs to let them know that that negative association could be a positive one for learning. They could learn to not be afraid of public speaking and have that negative gut reaction. Instead, it could be transformed into something positive and, ooh, yeah, public speaking, I can do that. And we're the people that can do that. We're the ones that can actually transform those negatives into positives. So Rahul, with that in mind, how can we excel as VPPRs?
Yes, that's a good point, Toastmaster Kat. As a VP of PR, you can excel. There are certain things that you require, certain things that you need to build up on. The first thing to start off is a good transition from your predecessor, understanding the role, what the expectations are, and some of the past and current successes as well as failures, because that forms, that kind of helps you, that brings out the learning from the previous VPPR, whereby you understand what are the things that work in your club, what are the things that don't work, and that becomes the foundation for you to take it to the next level. One of the things as a VP of PR is synergizing and strategizing with your club officers, more specifically with your VP of membership. I think that becomes very critical, because as the mouthpiece of the club, it's your responsibility to assist your VP of membership. One of the key responsibilities is to attract good members and attract members from the areas that can continue to become members of your club. Manage website, brand the club locally, establishing partnerships, have a good social media presentation, and solicit articles and post for your website and social media. Again, like I said, utilizing some of your members to write articles, update the website. A lot of those are typically the responsibilities that are expected out of the VP of PR. Either you can do it yourself or get a couple of members to assist you if you feel that's required. But primarily as a VP of PR, that's one of the key requirements of this position. Again, one of the things that you can do is leverage on District 13 social and other clubs. We're fortunate to have Kat, who stepped up as a District 13 PR manager. I think one of her goals, she's going to talk a little bit later in the presentation, is how she plans to make this a very successful year in terms of taking social media to the next level. So working closely with her, working closely with other club VPPRs, you can leverage on the District 13 social media presence. Celebrate member and club success and let the world hear it. I think one of the things that we do well at CHN, that's Cranberry High Noon, is we celebrate the success of members, any educational achievement, any membership that goes on to take on leadership roles in the area, division, district, or even at the international level, get recognized through the club social media as well as through the District 13. So celebrate, I think it's all about celebrating individual success. And we as VP of PRs are the ones that can make our members feel special and recognize the growth that they're showing. Review and order public relations material when needed. I would recommend that within the first month, sit down with your VP of finance, as well as your president and some of the other club officers, and look at what materials you will require throughout the year. If they aren't budgeted for, please ensure that they are budgeted and ordered in a prompt manner so that you can use those materials. There are a lot of materials that are available on Toastmasters website that you can order and are delivered fairly easily. So I would suggest that you make a plan in terms of what are the materials you require. Also, develop a media list. For example, you could make a list of few newspapers in your area that you would want some newspaper press coverage. Make a list of articles that you can share with other clubs. Make a list of all the media vehicles or social media vehicles that you're going to use. Prepare that list right within your first month. I think that is going to set the goal for you to become successful in this role. And Kat, I do have a question for you. I know that you are president of your current club, as well as the District 13 PR manager. My question to you is, how important is a VP of PR role for a Toastmasters club? And if you could throw some light on that.
Essential. Not to be dramatic and not to show my bias, but I think I can see that definitely in the first club I ever joined. It was very small and it did not have an official VP of PR. So that was actually the first role I ever filled. And we saw immediately upon doing VPPR work, spreading the word, getting flyers, interacting with the public, or for me, it was my company more, we instantly began seeing success. We saw more members, we saw more guests at meetings, and it was all just PR that caused that growth. So I think if your club ever has issues with membership, that's one of the main roles you want to hit first and make sure that it's being fulfilled. So.
Thank you, Kat. I'm going to move on to the next slide, which is I've put together a list of the sources of new members that our club, Cranberry High Noon, attracted. We had totally 13 new members that joined us throughout the year, since 1st of July last year till date. And we just kind of put together how those sources of new members were attracted. Six were former members who had left Toastmasters or did not renew. We were successful in bringing them back to Toastmasters. We had two that came out from two new members that we were attracted through the open house that we conducted. And I'll talk a little bit more about the open house later in the presentation. One out of a networking event that we conducted with one of the chambers of commerce in Cranberry. And then we had 3 member referrals that were 3 members that were brought by members who recommended Toastmasters and they joined. And then we had 1 new member joining us through our website efforts. So all in all, we had 13 new members, and this was the breakup. And it might change for different clubs, it might be different for each one of you, but I thought I should share this so that you get an idea about how the breakup generally is. So with COVID, we are a club that continued to have hybrid meetings as and when it was possible. So most of the summer we had hybrid meetings. So when we were planning our open house, we thought it makes natural sense to do an hybrid open house. And we planned for the hybrid open house, but we had a contingency in place in case there was a lockdown during that time, because we planned well in advance. We planned at least 6 weeks in advance for our open house, which was conducted in November. As you can see from the pictures in the slide, we had very very good presence online as well as in person. We used a few things. We did a lot of Facebook and LinkedIn posts, and then we also had a Facebook event, which was for the open house. So that gave us some idea about. We had about 14 people that said they would come. We had about 8 guests attending. So Facebook event was shared, and I'll come to some numbers on how that happened. We had flyers that were posted at Cranberry Library, YMCA, Costco, Giant Eagle, number of grocery stores in the Cranberry, Wexford, Mars, Seven Fields area. Like I said, we had 8 guests and 2 new members that were recruited from this open house. And one of the things we also did differently in this open house is we had a very distinguished panel of 3 exceptionally good VIP, I would say, Toastmasters that talked about their Toastmasters experience. I think that was a very good session all in all. So we had a good open house session. I would suggest that you look at something like this in your clubs as well. I know that Toastmaster Cat, you are a part of corporate club. Can you throw some light in terms of how was the open house that you conducted?
Ours was a bit unique this year. Because we are a corporate club, we had to follow corporate policy, which meant we were not allowed to have any physical in-person events. So we needed to improvise, and we needed to improvise quickly. So what we ended up doing is kind of a way of making people still feel like it was a special event and we were all together. We did it completely over the phone. But before the meeting, we gave out gift bags. I made these cute little, like the things you would give out at birthday parties, and it had a little fancy plastic champagne glass and a little thing of ginger ale and some cookies and just all these little treats and stuff, because at our previous open houses, we always served food and it was a big potluck situation, and that was something our members really connected over. So we wanted to make them still feel like we were thinking about them, that we wanted to make sure they were having a good time at the event, and that, at the end of the day, we might have been separated by phones. We were still together. And I think that cookie in their hand was just one more reminder of that. So
that's fantastic. I'm sure next time you have an open house, please count me as a guest. I would definitely like to come in person, hopefully. So that's good. You did put in a lot of efforts, I know, based on our conversation. And that does make, when it comes to corporate clubs, you're restricted to your colleagues and only limited to the company employees. So I can certainly see, but thanks for sharing that part, Toastmaster Cat. So one of the things we did in the open house is, as a club officers, we sat down and did a little bit of a brainstorming in terms of what should we have in the flyer. And we couldn't think of anything else. One of our seasoned Toastmasters is Toastmaster Sarah Sori. She's a DTM. Some of you might have seen her on television or read her articles on newspapers. More so over the past year, she's been very actively involved. Given the COVID-19, she's helped a number of communities with coping and offering her suggestions on how to cope with COVID-19 situations. So she openly credits Toastmasters, and she's a great advocate for the club. So we decided that we are going to use her for the flyer that we had. And this flyer was not only posted, like I said, in at various sources physically, but we also had this on our LinkedIn, on our Facebook. We had this particular flyer posted all over. And I think that was good when someone as seasoned as her and a professional speaker, when they quote and when they give credit to Toastmasters, it just is great to see, and it just resonates with the new members that want to come and see what Toastmasters has to offer. And we also actually metric Facebook offers you a Facebook event, and I'm sure a lot of you know that, but if you don't, you can post a lot of your events on Facebook. And it also gives you metrics in terms of how many people did it reach out to. We posted this in advance, so we had almost 1,700 people that viewed this particular event. We had 14 people that showed interest and they wanted to come and join the membership, the open house. So it was very useful. These metrics go a long way so that you know what works and what doesn't work. So it's very useful. Facebook does offer that free of charge. So I would strongly recommend that you use this feature. It'll give you good results.
Okay, so very quickly, I think we're going to just ask for a few questions. If you guys would like to raise your hand in Zoom, I'll call on someone. We have two questions for you. First of all, does anyone know how their previous club, or not their previous club, how their previous VPPR handled open houses? What seemed to work for them and what didn't? Or do you have any questions or ideas about a future open house that you would like to discuss? Oh, I see one person already raised their hand. All right, Marissa, how are you?
Hi. I tried to ask in the chat. I don't know if anyone saw it,
Yeah,
but
I just looked
I
at the
would like
chat.
a copy of this for my future reference, so I can look it over. This is just so much at once.
Sure, absolutely. I plan on, after this meeting, I'm going to send a PDF version of the PowerPoint, as well as links to a bunch of other PR resources to everyone that attended today. So I will make sure to get that to you.
Fantastic. Yeah, I was thinking about reaching out to my club president and finding out who exactly the VP of PR was before me, because I'm not entirely sure. I did attend the meetings and I was very regular at attending, so I have a pretty good idea like what we did. I saw a lot of things on Facebook. There are a few things I'm not sure how to do yet, but I was thinking, reaching out to my predecessor, finding out who they are. Do you have any advice for me? Because I've never done this before.
No fear, I guess, is my advice. Every VPPR I've ever talked to has been so willing to help explain everything from how to create a big strategy that can, cover your plan for the whole year, or teach you things like Facebook metrics, which to me seemed very scary at first, but then I talked to people like Rahul and looked into it and found them to be pretty intuitive and very helpful. So yeah, I would say reaching out to anyone that, not just your VPPR, but any of the officers that previously worked in your club, they will probably have some pretty good insight for you.
Indeed, indeed. I'm a communications major at Pitt Greensburg, and I've actually taken classes on PR. So I have a pretty good idea about how to use social media, and I even took like a business and social media class one time, and I do remember a lot of the information. I know you have to like sell, and you have to make it look fresh and bright. The aesthetic is important.
Yeah. I would say make sure, if anything, branding should be consistent. I think that's a great thing to figure out when you first get into your role as VPPR. Figure out, what do I want people to feel when they look at my material, right? I want them to feel excited, or I want to feel like this is serious, or just consistency, I think, is key. All right.
I'm thinking kind of bright and fresh.
Was that Rahul? Sorry.
So I think I'll let Marissa finish. Sorry about that.
Oh, huh?
Yeah, Marissa, you were saying something. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I just wanted to say, I think I want it to look bright, fresh, and new. It seems to get a lot of people's attention. Something very modern, use a very modern style.
Absolutely. And if you're ever looking to build PR material like that, the Toastmasters website has a fantastic amount of templates that you don't have to stick to them completely. You can edit them to make them look like whatever kind of vibe you want to put out. So that's a good starting point, and then you can tailor them to your own specific needs.
I think there's a question in the chat.
Oh.
I'll come to that, and then we'll take the questions from Cheryl as well as Vibha. So this is a question from Sarah. What kind of partnership should the VPPR be establishing? Partnerships with other local clubs. We'll come to that a little bit later in the presentation. I'll spend some time on answering that. But yeah, I think the VP of PR, like I mentioned, within the officers group needs to work very, very closely with the VP of membership as well as the president of the organization. I mean, it needs to work with everyone, but more specifically with the VP of membership, because there's a lot of things that you can do in synergy with the membership vice president. And then partnerships with other local clubs, we're going to talk a little bit about that in the part of the presentation coming up. Cheryl, you had a question.
Not so much a question. I just wanted to point out, I put a couple of things in the chat. There's the link to the Area 2 virtual open house that we had in June. So feel free to view that and share it as you would like.
Sure.
I think it went really well. And along with that, the conversation around traffic and so on reminded me that with our page that we have on Facebook, Facebook often tells me, like, if you want to boost this post, we'll give you $10. And I kept ignoring that until I posted the one about our open house. And I went ahead and used the $10 coupon, and it really drove traffic. I got a lot of hits on it. So just FYI, I would say don't blow it. You know, if you're just posting hey, this is our club, then let it go if they offer that. But they'll keep telling you if you're the admin of a Facebook page.
Yeah.
One quick other thing was I recently just went to a local Rotary club and talked to them about our club, and there is a whole connection between Toastmasters and Rotary, so that's something to look into as well.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to come to that. That's part of our presentation, but thanks for sharing that, Cheryl. Cheryl, can you very quickly sum up how your open house was different?
Well, it was fully online, and so that was new for all of us that had done it. But my club, Bay Friends, is an online club, so that is the space that we should be in. But we partnered with the other clubs in Area 2. So I think that's something to keep in mind, is to use your area to work together and find ways to share the benefits and so on as well. So our open house, it was a panel discussion, was the way that we went for it, which then we had people from each of the clubs be panelists to talk about their experiences, answering questions, and just being able to share the link instead of our normal way that we all have experienced of having an in-person open house. This was more sharing the links, having to do more things virtually to prepare for it. But then now what we have is this awesome video of it that in the olden days we didn't have so good to have an online video. So now that is something that we can keep sharing and get a lot more use out of it beyond just the day of the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Toastmaster Cheryl. We've got one question in the chat. I'll take that first, and then we'll come to you, Vibha. I know your hand is up for a while. And so Mike has a question. How do you drive traffic to your Facebook site and calendar events? And Kat, would you like to answer that?
Sure, absolutely. The boosted posts are obviously a great way, but realize that Facebook links can be posted pretty much anywhere. Make sure you're cross-referencing your Facebook on your LinkedIn, your LinkedIn to your Facebook. Make sure you're sending those links repeatedly out in every email you send. Make sure you include a little thing right at the bottom that says, our Facebook pages here, our LinkedIn pages here. Those constant availability of those links is going to lead to more engagement, is going to lead to those getting boosted. And then don't be afraid to even print them on your flyers. People may not feel like Googling, but if they see you have a Facebook page, they'll know they can find that pretty quickly too.
Sorry, I was logged out accidentally.
You're good. All right, V, but you have a question. Would you like to go?
Yeah, I have a suggestion and a question. With regards to the question, so we are from Pittsburgh Toastmasters Club, which is the community club. So I have a question about promotion and PR to corporate. Okay, majority of the club comes from corporate, maybe from companies. So how do we actually reach out to corporate to actually invite for the public meetings like in community clubs? That's one question that I had. And the second thing is, what ideas do you have for a future open house? Just like how Kat was mentioning about distributing cookies and other things, maybe we could conduct some games and give away some of the books that are authored by world champions, so that people get more visibility about the authors and the world champions.
Really like that idea, actually. We have not done official giveaways, but I've heard some clubs have found real successes in doing stuff like that. And I don't know, it's supporting Toastmasters in two ways. It's supporting your club, but it's also supporting Toastmasters who have worked really hard to write those books and do those kinds of speeches. So yeah, I really like that idea. Rahul, would you like to take our question and then we can move on to our next slide?
Yes, I think one answer to your question, Viba, is, you can approach maybe the human resources departments of companies in and around. Generally, if you have somebody from the company that's already a member, always works as a great example. They can be the ambassador and they can rope in their HR and other colleagues to come and join. I think that's probably the most effective way, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, that's a very good question there, Viva. We have a question from
Thank you both.
Sarah. Sarah, did you have a question or did we answer the question?
I had a question for Kat, and maybe we'll go through this at a later time. But
Okay.
coming from a corporate club, myself, I'm a part of the Westinghouse corporate club.
Hey, Westinghouse, sorry, BPMI,
Yes. I was curious how you manage a Facebook page or other social media type sites, since you can only technically have people inside of the company as members.
We will kind of get to that later, but short answer for you is we recommend using whatever your company has available at your disposal. I know at our company, we don't have a Facebook page, but what we do have is a company intranet. So a web browser that everyone can access, and we make sure to really advertise on there. We have a scrolling banner on the website's main page that everyone uses. We have email updates. We're eventually getting an unclassified SharePoint site that's going to be set up. So I feel like with corporate clubs, there's a few more hoops to jump through. You're not as free to use every resource that's available online, but if there are resources already available, make sure you're using all of them.
So to be clear, it doesn't sound like you are actually using a Facebook or anything like that. Okay.
No, we do not for ours because we don't really have access to them for our club. And honestly, we find that whatever people are using the most in that environment is usually the best option. So for us, it was the company intranet.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yep, no problem.
Hi, my name is Ashu and I'm from the Moon Club. So Moon Club, and I do have question regarding how will be the accessing or posting the event in the Facebook or any social media account.
Yeah, so today, I mean, I'm assuming it's a community club, Ashu, if you can confirm that. It is, okay. So you can advertise it using Facebook. You can advertise it on meetup groups. You can advertise it on LinkedIn as well, if you want to attract more of a corporate presence. I mean, these are all the avenues that I'm aware of that have been useful for us in the past. Kat, did you have anything else to add to the question from Ashu?
No, I mean, those are basically all the major avenues. If you want to go crazy, you can do YouTube, you can do Facebook, LinkedIn, all of the big ones, or whichever one you think is going to be most effective for your club.
Okay, so I'll be creating the new YouTube account or how it will be, or meetup account.
Yeah, if you have a club meetup group, I mean, I think District 13 has a meetup group that will have all your clubs. So use that for a meetup, or then if it's a very, very like a specialized meeting, then you can have a separate one just for your club as well, just advertising for that particular event. Also, don't underestimate the power of having flyers. While last year was different, I think what I've heard from the previous VP of PR is that's a very, very useful tool. I mean, every time I go to the Y, even now, I still see that flyer, and we still get a couple of inquiries every now and then from there. So going to the traditional media is definitely still worthwhile.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much, Rahul.
Thank you. All right, we're going to close questions for right now, but we're going to get through a few more slides, and then if we have time at the end, we'll get a few more of them. And if we don't get to your questions today, please feel free to reach out to me or Rahul. We're always excited to talk about PR stuff, and we have so many links and things we can send you. I'll do that in the follow-up email, but also if you just have a specific question, we'll make sure we get to them too. All right. Okay, so networking.
Yes, I know Toastmasters Cheryl already talked about the Rotary partnership with Toastmasters. I think that's a great two truly international organizations that have shared values and similar goals. We did at CHN, we made a presentation with Toastmasters, to Rotary Sunrisers, which is in Cranberry Township. So myself and our president, Toastmaster Tina Kramer, we made a 25-minute presentation on QA, which was very effective. We did have some of the Rotarians visit our club, which was very, very good to see. There is a link that Kat has put in the resources, which talks a little bit more about Rotary and Toastmasters partnership. I would encourage each one of you to reach out to your closest Rotary chapter and see if there are opportunities where you can present to them and they can invite them to make a presentation to our membership. One of the things we did was one of our members is a member of Pittsburgh North Regional Chamber, and she kind of was successful in getting us a time slot. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend, but we had 6 members of our club that went and talked to the membership of Pittsburgh North Regional Chamber and talked to them about what Toastmasters is doing and how we were, helping people improve their communication, leadership, public speaking skills. And very pleased to note that we had one member that joined us from this membership and from this interaction with Pittsburgh North Regional Chamber. I know, Toastmaster Kat, that your club works very closely with Bettis Laboratory, which is another corporate club. Can you throw some light in terms of how your partnership with them and how you network with them?
Sure, yeah. Bettis was my first experience talking to a Toastmasters club outside of my own, because when I first joined at BPMI, I thought to myself, okay, it's a BPMI club. Everyone I know in Toastmasters is going to be from BPMI. We can't really get members from anywhere else, which is true in the fact that we can't get members from anywhere else, but that did not mean that we didn't have the opportunity to interact and grow with another club. So we have reached out to Bettis and other company clubs that are just absolutely fantastic and established relationships with them to where we mentor each other. We fill each other's roles in different meetings. We make sure to visit each other every now and then. We've even done inter-club meetings where we've all gathered on one big call and did different table topics and shot back and forth across the pond. And I don't know, I feel like a lot of corporate clubs feel like they're isolated because they can't accept people from outside, but that doesn't have to be the case. You can establish these very, very strong inter-club bonds too that will be very beneficial to both of you.
Thank you for your perspective on that, Toastmaster Kat. Promoting District 13 PR initiatives. I think one of the things I did was I decided that I'm going to work closely with District 13 to promote the initiatives, because at the end of the day, we're all under the umbrella of District 13. And in order for District 13 to achieve their goals, I think we as clubs and representatives of District 13 need to promote the PR initiatives at the District 13. So if you see one such post posted here, so every time I post something on Facebook or LinkedIn, I always make it a point to include District 13 so that there is more traffic to both our club as well as to District 13. And that's one of the things that you can do to increase traffic as well.
Rahul, I know you don't just do District 13 promotion, you also promote other clubs in District 13, right?
Yes, I think I try to do that throughout the year. And one such example is our what we consider our sister club, which is called Early Birds in Butler, which is a very good club that meets on Saturdays. So when we had our open house, we obviously meet every Monday at noon, which is why we are called Cranberry High Noon. But see, at the end of the day, if somebody is unable to make it at 12 noon on Monday, which is a working day, they might be open to going and meeting every other Saturday in the morning at Butler, which is in the area, which is another club that we decided that, hey, once our open house was done, we wanted to promote other club events. So we kind of tried to promote them. Whoever did not attend our sessions, our open house, we did let them know that there was another club in the area that was conducting an open house a little bit later, and if they wanted to join, they could join and attend. So promoting each other is, again, see, we are not competitors. We are all Toastmasters, and our goals and objectives are very, very similar. So if we are not able to attract somebody to come and join our club, I think the least we can do is promote other clubs and see if the person can join Toastmasters. I think that, to me, is something that would be very important for us going forward as well. So thanks for that, Toastmaster Kat. And District 13 PR plan, obviously Kat is the PR manager for District 13. So Kat, can you tell us a little bit more about your plans as a PRM this year?
Absolutely. I will give you all a glimpse behind the district curtain to what we're doing. My big goal when I took the PRM position was I wanted to, instead of being one person who tried to do everything, I tried to find one person who combined, or one person for each thing that when combined, we could do everything together. I feel like that was a much more achievable goal because nowadays there are so many platforms, and I feel like you all probably agree with me. There's just so many things you can do for PR. You can have websites, you can have newsletters, Facebooks, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, it all just stacks and stacks and stacks. And I don't want to not use any of those resources. I feel like all of them can, even if they reach one person, they're worth doing. So my goal as PRM this year is to find people that can do that one thing, one person who's really good at the Facebook coordination, one person who's really good at YouTube, and assembling them all together into a team, Avengers style, to where we're all just superheroes and we're all supporting each other. And so when I show you this plan, I don't want you to go back to your club and go, okay, President, I think we need a webmaster, a newsletter coordinator, a Twitter coordinator. That's probably not what your club needs. Clubs are a bit smaller, and you're probably going to be responsible for a lot more of the PR output. So, but you can look at this list and go, oh, I could shrink this down for my club. These are ideas. So you might not need an event support coordinator, but you might need to be thinking about how do you advertise your events. You might not need a district historian, which is a new role, but you might want to think to yourself, maybe we should write down some of the funny moments at meetings and publish them at the end of the year as kind of a cool newsletter. So stuff like this on a macro scale is very involved for the district, but shrunk down for your club, it's a pretty good guide.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Kat, for sharing, obviously, with your leadership, your enthusiasm, and your plans for this year. I'm convinced that it's going to be an exceptionally good year for all of us in the PR domain. All right. Well, one of the first things that I would suggest as a VPPR you do is update your websites. Okay, I think very, very important. And this was a huge learning for me. I'd never worked on any kind of website content at all. And that was one of the objectives why I wanted to be a VP of PR last year. I would recommend that you update your website every couple of weeks. If that's not possible, at least once a month, so that you're updating the data in terms of your website. And this becomes very critical because that's where you attract all the traffic to. One of the things on your website needs to be your unique selling proposition. Why visit us? Should be the question that you need to answer. There's so many other clubs. Why should somebody invest 20 minutes to drive to your club and invest an hour, hour and a half in attending your meeting. So there has to be a compelling reason. Work with your officers group and membership to create that unique selling proposition and have that on your website. Load pictures and videos. Like they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. At the same time, anyone that visits the website, if you know some of the things that when it comes to search engines, if you have pictures and videos, you have a better chance of being up in the search pages, so your ranking goes up if you have a lot of pictures as well as videos. So ensure that you're putting in pictures and videos. Like I said, the Toastmasters free host website is very, very user friendly. So I would suggest you do that. Provide a link to club social media. Again, this increases the traffic to your website as well as to your social media. So if somebody is going to your website and wants to see what your club is doing on a regular basis, who are your members, all they can do is just click on the social media and will take them to your Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or whatever social media you have. Again, when you in the back end, I would suggest when you're using the website, please be very specific to use keywords so that they're more easily searchable. For example, we are in Cranberry Township. We always had just Cranberry Township, but what we did differently was we added Wexford, Mars, 7 fields, which are all neighborhoods around Cranberry Township where we can attract members from. So that becomes very important. So in the location, please ensure that you're putting in neighboring neighborhoods as well. In a club that's corporate, use your company's name. It will be on the intranet. So make sure that you do write British or Bechtel or whatever the name of the company is. Again, in terms of soft skills, in terms of the keywords, use soft skills, communication skills, leadership development, membership. Earlier in the presentation, I heard Toastmaster Marcy talking about the feud, family feud, and she had some 10 really good ones. I would recommend all of you use those 10 because these are all relevant. So if somebody searches for soft skills and Cranberry Township, they will get directed to our website. So strongly recommend that you do that. Ensure all the specifics of the days, time, meetings, location, online meeting, hybrid meeting are all correct, because obviously we've seen some changes last year, and you don't want, the last thing you want is somebody going to the wrong destination or somebody who's gone there in person when you're conducting online meetings. So please ensure that this is done. If a corporate club, announce the website updates to the management. I think that becomes very important as a corporate club, VPPR. One of your major stakeholders are the management in your companies. So it's important to keep them updated with what's going on within the club. So I would strongly recommend that you do some of these things to ensure that your website is up and updated fairly easily.
And along with website updates, said this a million times, social media updates are equally important. So here are some tips that Rahul and I have assembled on using Facebook and LinkedIn. Facebook, we would say, is the more social of the two options. That's a good way to connect friends of friends of friends, people that are looking for Toastmasters in various communities. Pages can be very easily identified. You can have a very strong username that includes your location. That's a good social aspect. Now, LinkedIn is definitely on the rise in terms of people using it over the past year. That's a great way to professionally network and find people interested in your club. So how do you do it? All right, don't be afraid to use social media lingo. Use the hashtags, create your own hashtags. You don't have to just use hashtag Toastmasters. You can do hashtag your club name, hashtag a specific challenge that your clubs invent. Any kind of cool, fun idea you can have, make sure you slap that on there and tag people. Please, whatever you do, that's a key thing you can be doing on Facebook, is tagging the people that are involved in the posts that you make, because that will not just recognize them, but it will also link it to their friends, and they can see, oh, Rahul's doing something in Toastmasters. He's talked about it a lot. Maybe I should check it out. And then click, click, click. You've reached another person. Celebrating successes is very important. Using images and videos, it's easier than ever now to post a picture of a meeting on your Facebook page, and to post videos of speeches. Just like right now, we're recording this, and Stuff like this can be so easily uploaded so that people scrolling through their feed can see it, sit down for a quick lesson. Facebook and LinkedIn also both have recurring event functionality, which means if your club meets very consistently every Monday, like Cranberry High Noon, or excuse me, I don't know if it's every Monday, but if your club meets consistently on Mondays, you can have it scheduled for Mondays. You don't have to constantly go in there every time and create a new event. And then lastly, as we said previously, use the District 13 meeting group. We are so excited to have people posting on all of our district pages. We welcome members posting and meeting and talking about their experiences there. So definitely utilize that as an option. Now, if you want to make a formal event, Eventbrite is very useful as well. You can make like an official event page where people can register and document the registration. And lastly, these ones aren't as popular in the Toastmasters sphere, though I don't get why. I think they're all really neat, but YouTube, fantastic place for posting videos, recordings of your sessions. Twitter, if you are the type of club that would like the idea of just getting a quick tweet that says, oh, you know, meeting changed to this time, or oh, so-and-so will be at this meeting, Twitter's great. And lastly, Instagram, especially if you have a photographer in your midst. If you ever hear anyone in your Toastmasters club say, I'm a photographer, be like, would you mind taking a few pictures at a meeting? We'll post them on an Instagram. So those are some hot social media tips for you. So when it comes to LinkedIn, Rahul, you are the wizard. You know everything about LinkedIn. I'm more new to it. So can you share some of your LinkedIn tips with us?
Sure, thank you. As a director of a staffing firm, I can certainly vouch for the fact that LinkedIn is by far the professional group to network in. It's useful for me to attract talent all across North America. So I kind of restarted our LinkedIn group, which was passive for the last year or so before I joined. So we invited a lot of new members to join. What we do here is we share articles, we recommend and recognize members. I think very, very important part, because you want your members to be recognized in their professional networks, because that becomes great. Like, for example, I've got a couple of examples here in the next slide that I will talk about very quickly. We recognized one of our members that got DTM. We recognized her on LinkedIn as well as Facebook, but with the LinkedIn, it was more useful to reach out to her professional network. More recently, one of our alumni who incidentally joined Toastmasters because he wanted to present his PhD thesis. At the age of 70, got his PhD. So while we knew that he's not going to be coming back, we recognized him. And that was good because he wrote back saying, hey, thank you. And he said he misses the club and he's going to visit us once it's possible for him to. And then he's going to recommend us to other aspiring Toastmaster potentials. LinkedIn post, like I said, we also post meeting updates on the LinkedIn. We also recognized Melissa McGavick, who is International Director for Region 6. I'm very proud to say she's part of CHN. And then Facebook, I think Kat is going to talk a little bit about Facebook. Kat, if you could give us some ideas about how to use Facebook effectively.
Sure. Aside from the hashtagging and tagging in general, view your Facebook page as a very likely chance that this is the first thing that is ever being seen by a potential member. So make sure it is very welcoming. Make sure you have a mission statement directly up front that people can look and go, oh, this is what Toastmasters is about. Include your meeting times, your dates, your club number. Club number is very nice if people like to go to the official website and look and see the history of the club. And just share stuff. Don't be afraid that you're bugging people or that you're posting too much. There's really not really posting too much on a Facebook page, which is why I'm going to encourage you to make weekly meeting post links. If you feel that you want to recognize your members for something that was really well done in the last meeting, say someone gave a great speech or someone came up with a very creative table topic theme, post it. If you consistently post the results of your meetings, people are going to get a very good idea when they look at that Facebook page of what your meetings are like. And if they're seeing, oh, wow, post after post of like really fun table topics rounds or post after post of these really unique speech ideas that people are giving, it's going to make it seem less intimidating for someone to join. They're going to feel like, oh, I can fit in here. I see what they're doing and I want in. So it's kind of, Facebook demystifies Toastmasters in a very fun way. It makes it very clear what we're about, what we like to do, and how we're moving forward.
Yes,
and
that's a good
Rahul,
question. I think there's a question from Anastasia. I hope I pronounced your name correctly, but the question is, do you create a LinkedIn club page as a business page or educational institution? I think as a nonprofit, if I'm not mistaken, you need to show it as a educational page. If I'm not correct, I can get back to you on that. But because this LinkedIn group was created before I joined, so I can always check on that and get back to you, Toastmaster Anastasia. So yeah, so we'll definitely get back to you on that. But that's a very, very good question. Coming to Facebook recognition, I think one of the things we did differently this year is we decided to recognize our members and every achievement that they did. Good example was our president, Toastmasters, Tina Kramer, DTM, got her DTM award within little over 2 years, which is exceptional. Anybody who knows Toastmaster Tina Kramer, not only is she a great leader, but she's a fantastic Toastmaster. She's also, I'm pleased to say, Area 13 director for this year. So we decided that we're going to have some of the members that have actually seen her progress to be a DTM. So we reached out to a few of the senior members. Some of them include Toastmaster Bob Johnson, Toastmaster Kim Santillo, who's also in this presentation, and Division B governor, and then her mentor, who's Toastmaster Sarah Sori, DTM. And we recognized her on Facebook as well as on LinkedIn. I think that is exceptionally good recognition for someone who's contributed so much, not only to her development, but also helping others in growing and working very closely with District 13. So we decided that we are going to recognize our members as and when possible. And I think that's a great strategy that has worked for us. And I feel confident that it will work for all of you. Having said that, I'm going to cover a little bit about Facebook metrics. Yes, so Facebook actually gives you this free of charge. So you can actually track your metrics. You can actually see every time you post, how many people see it, how many people did it reach out to. It gives you a lot of those metrics. I would encourage everyone to use that. That's definitely something useful. What I realized was I generally post late in the night, and that worked very well for me because most of our members log into social media after their dinner, and just it's just a good time for me. It might work for you. So use these metrics to see what works and what doesn't with Facebook. LinkedIn offers something similar to this as well.
All right, and to finish up today, I wanted to I'm going to be sending out this PowerPoint just for reference for you guys, but here are some of the absolutely fantastic resources that the district has for you to use. They'll let the world know, the NPR newsletter, the media center, the PR corner. There's so many things that the district has posted and Toastmasters at large has posted on their website that you can make use of in your club. For instance, if I'm ever creating anything for Toastmasters, I go to the brand portal first of all. It's the easiest place to find logos, flyer templates, just everything that you're going to need if you want to start a project for your PR team. And so I think we're done, Rahul. I think we've made our way through the presentation, and I think we can take any questions here. I'm going to stop screen sharing so I can see the chat normally. I didn't know that was going to be a little kerfuffle. So if anyone has some questions during our last 3 minutes before we wrap up, feel free to shoot them out.
Or raise your hand and we will be happy to answer any questions.
All right, Anastasia, I see you. Go right on ahead.
I have just Googled up the same question that I posted in a chat, and it turned out that you don't need to create a page, you just need to create a group.
Yes, that's good. I'm glad you were able to answer that question. Thanks for Googling it. I think we have about 2 minutes. Toastmaster Cat, would you like to share that video URL of the Mountaineers Club, if you have that handy?
One moment. First, I'm going to post real quick the Facebook and LinkedIn for the district.
Perfect.
Now. Da-da. And these are just very, very easy resources you can access if you ever have a club event, post it on the district Facebook page. If you ever have even just a really interesting sounding meeting, feel free to just post that right on the Facebook page. People tend to support each other in Toastmasters. I think that's just something that we always do. I know people from my club visit other clubs, people from other clubs try to visit ours when they can. So having that kind of just openness to post your stuff is going to lead to more people coming. So here, 1 second, let me pull up that video link.
In the meanwhile, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Kat for being a very good co-host and co-presenter. It's always a pleasure to work with Kat. I first saw her at the Winter TLI when she was facilitating a discussion, and when I knew I was going to present with her, it's been an absolute pleasure. And I think she's worked up most of the presentation today. So thank you so much, Toastmaster Kat.
And thank you, Rahul. You have taught me, just even in our brief knowing each other, so much more about the social media sites I could be leveraging and am going to be leveraging as PRM. I just posted a link to President Fred Fox of the Mountaineers Toastmasters Club. He did a great video on compelling reasons for people to join his club. I think if you're ever interested in making videos, that would be a great place for you to start looking for examples. So resources abound, shooting them off left and right, resources everywhere.
Good luck to all. Thank you so much for being part of this presentation. I know we have exactly 7 seconds. So thank you all and good luck.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.